You're listening to the official Minnesota Wild podcast, presented by Acrisure.
Hey, Coach. Thank you so much for taking the question from right over here. How important is it in this game to win the opening draw and dictate the pace of the drop of the puck?
Yeah, I think that always goes into, I think trying to get a good start is being able to start with possession of the puck right off the bat and try to get on the attack. So, it's something we always try to have a point of.
Go ahead, Joe.
John, is Olsen in net again, and any line changes other than that?
Gus is going to be in net tonight, and there could be a tweak or two on the lineup, but some of it will be game time.
But led to the decision in net with Gus?
Well, I think a lot of things. Every time you make a decision, I think in a lineup decision, you take a lot of things into account. We've had two very good goalies all year long. Gus has played a lot of good hockey for us. Wally's taken the brunt of the playoffs. He's played 7 straight games. Played very well. The quick turnaround at the end of the series to come to Colorado. And, we have confidence in both of our goalies. They're both excellent. They both played really good hockey. We believe in either one of them can win us a game. And I think it's a good opportunity to get Gus in the net. He's hungry to get in. I think he dealt with not playing for a while. Obviously, Wally played very well. Our team won and continued to go through. But we got another excellent goalie that's hungry to get back in the net.
Are your game time decisions injury related, John?
Yes.
Go ahead, Peter.
John, I know you coached Scott Wedgewood very early in his career, and obviously you want to beat him now. But can you, I guess, appreciate the journey he's had from when you saw him as a kind of NHL, AHL tweener to now being a starter on a really good team?
Yeah, I love Wedgie. If you think of his story, like you said, he's a great kid. He's when I had him way back, he was, like you said, he was one of those guys coming up that was trying to make his mark between the American League and the NHL. And just his personality, he's got a great work ethic, tremendous competitor, great personality, and he was hungry. You could see that he had talent, but he also had, I think, the drive to be able to continue to work his way up and compete. And now you see him, he's worked a great career for himself, and now he's a top goalie on a top team. So it's been good to see his rise to where he is now, and couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah.
John, once upon a time in the playoffs, it seemed like you could only play the goalie card once, like once you made a change. That was it. Is it different now, or I guess more importantly, is it different for your team because you have two guys who have split the net that you could go back and forth if you wanted to? Not that that's what you want to do, but you feel like you can use both through the series if need be.
Yes, and the reason I say that is, there's teams that have gone through. I've really good friends, obviously, with Mike Sullivan, his 2 cup runs. They used multiple goalies throughout the series. I think it's a situation for us that we knew that Gus was going to be the starter to come into the year with Wally being a rookie, but then Wally came in and showed he was really prepared and ready to play. And basically for the year, we rotated them. And I think it was very beneficial to our team. It was very beneficial to the goalies. They can play fresh. Lots of times when goalies have to play, sometimes their fatigue starts to set in, whether it's mental or physical. But also I think sometimes their games, you don't have time to work on your game, the little details that make you a good goalie. And for us, that's been our recipe all year long. I think the way that the Dallas series went, Wally was playing really well and was fresh and was. But even during that series, we were considering putting Gus in. We didn't make the decision, but I think now is the right time for a multitude of reasons.
Jess?
John, do you have to give Philly, some lead time, some notice? As opposed to making a goalie change in game, which you have to do sometimes, does it help if he's got a little advance notice to kind of mentally prepare that it's his net now?
Yes, and that's kind of what we did all year long too. Was Freddie and I would map out what we think they were going to play. I would say in 2 to 3 game segments, because things can change quick. But even back to the example, like in the regular season, when you look at goalies, sometimes you'll say, well, a goalie had a shutout, so you just go back and play him. There's multiple times this year where we had one of the 2 of them had a shutout, and we went back with the other guy the next game. So it's nothing new to our team. It's nothing new to our guys, and I think it's a luxury for us to be able to have 2 goalies that you believe in and have proven that they can give us a chance to win every night.
John, you mentioned how well Gus has handled the situation. What did you learn about him in this process? That'd be tough for him to not play in the playoffs like that. Like, what did you learn about him behind the scenes in the last few weeks?
Well, he's a great teammate. Number one is that he's, like all the guys on our team right now, they're in it to win it. I mean, they'll sacrifice whatever they have to do to help the team win, whether it's playing, it's, in his situation, very supportive of the decision, very supportive of Wally. But the thing I liked about it, too, was that he didn't just concede it either. He wants to play. He wants to get in the net. He was working for it. He's making sure that he was prepared to do it. So to me, it was he just handled it like a pro, and that was impressive, because it's hard when you're the veteran goalie and you feel like you've played well enough to be able to get an opportunity to play, and the other guy goes in, and at that point in time it could be a little bit of a negative response, but his was, I understand the decision. As it went on, he wanted to get into the net, but his attitude towards the team and towards Wally was top shelf, and I thought his work ethic, his practice habits were very good.
John, since they have different styles, does the way the team defends, they have to adjust based on who's in net?
No, not really. I think, one of the things we did, as well, too, in the year, sometimes because we rotated them, we felt like, maybe this guy, based on how the other team plays, we like this guy against them. Sometimes that's how we made the decisions. But now we just feel collectively as a group that it's the right thing to do.
John, we've talked the last two playoffs now about Hartman kind of learning to adjust his game and keep his cool and not retaliate and things like that. Just how impressed with what you're seeing from him? Another game where he took a shot and didn't retaliate. He wouldn't want to go to the box anyway. But just what are your thoughts on his playoff game like this?
He's been very good, very disciplined. I think this has been a long time in the making for Hartz. I think last year when he got the suspension, once he came back from the suspension, he was very disciplined. Last year's playoffs, Vegas went after him to try to goad him in. Same thing in the Dallas series. So he understands. He's focused. He knows that he's a hard player to play against. He plays the game the right way. He's an effective guy for us. But his focus level of not getting involved in that stuff, he's evolved that over the last year and a half. And I think that's why he's been such an effective player. His energy and his mindset is focused on doing the right things and playing his game versus some of the other stuff.
Thanks, Coach.
For an extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.